people don't talk about is, okay, you have all these electronics. Now they need to be able to talk to each other, right? And they need to know what's happening. They need to know what's going on. So you make this motherboard or PCBA, and that's the brain that connects all the electronics to one another, right? Is to this brain. So let's say you have an arm. I have an arm. I have an arm, right? Like, how do I decide where it's moving? You have to have the brain, which is the motherboard, the PCBA, that's up here. And so now if I want to look at you, I'm opening my eyes, and my brain is kind of like computing everything that my eyes are seeing. And now if I want to open a door, I look with my eyes, I go with my hand, I open the door, I pull. We don't think of that as like a normal consumer. The average consumer just says like, hey, this is cool.
Does
a
it
camera
work?
exists. Yeah, a camera exists, and a touch screen exists. Like, this is not new technology. But what people don't realize is to kind of bring it all together, to create a PCBA could take a year when you're taking all of these electronics. And why? Because you have to put together these drivers, then you have to put together this different logic of like, hey, how does this work? How do we open this up? And then after that, it's not just like these electronics that are talking all together, but you need to actually have developed also software or firmware that makes the talking possible, right? And so that's like step one, step two, and then you have to start talking about like different use cases. Like, how do you know that the door is open now? Because you have a door that works on a motor, right? So now when you type in the correct pin, you want to tell the motor, open the motor. Now, how do you know that the motor is open? You have to create, you have to use sensors, so it's not just like, hey, this one thing that says like, and I think that's where people really misunderstand it. And that's totally where I misunderstood it before I started this company. I thought it's more like, hey, these things exist already. It's very easy to just put this all together. But there's a lot more thought that has to go into it. And the number one thing that you do when you're creating a product like this is you have to find electrical engineers. And then you have to find software engineers. And it's not just like one engineer. And going back to like what we were talking about before, where like, manufacturing just really has one engineer. It's just mechanical, right? They're not looking at electronical. They're not looking at a software developer. They have one engineer that's a mechanical. Does this work? If you turn the key, will the key open? Will the key close? That's it. That's what they're looking at. So now when you're taking into consideration all these electronics and all this other stuff, that's where a lot of issues could appear. That's where more time and more love needs to go into building a product. And